In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
I mean, farting on microphone isn't probably the worst thing we've committed on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair.
some would describe that's just generally what our podcast is. Honestly,
Absolutely.
what's up?
Let me pull this in. Welcome back, fine
Hi,
listeners. Frank, how's it going, man?
it's good. I got fired. How are you?
Well,
Yeah.
congrats to that.
Yes.
You'll have some time off. I'll
Yeah.
celebrate by drinking hot water because I'm sorry I
Ooh.
sound like this, but I've been sick for about a week. Yeah,
Do you call that hobo tea? Because I know some people call just hot water hobo
yeah,
tea.
it's kind of tealess tea, but it does the job, feels good in the old throat, and hopefully I
Yeah.
can muddle through this. So a little bit of a bombshell, hard to follow up your act there.
I know. And here's the thing. So yes, I am now currently a former employee of Cars and Bids.
Mm.
Your somewhat potentially favorite or somewhere in the top couple auction website. Um, and yeah, I am no longer an employee. I got laid off with a whole bunch of people on Tuesday. And that is not what this episode will be about.
This is so
Um,
it's not one of those cringy like I no longer work at the X automotive company
right,
and
yeah, or like
here's my
where did
story.
it all go? We're gonna have like a thumbnail of my hand in my head in my hands. No,
That's
no,
it.
we're not
That's
doing
it.
any of that. And to be perfectly honest, um, I'm in a fantastic spot, like moving forward professionally, personally. I get to take a little bit of time off, which is great. I already have like multiple job offers in hand, and I have like people looking to like build businesses with me and through me, and so like I have like the world is my oyster, which is
Oh yeah.
great. So I'm fantastic. It's funny, like in this little car world that we operate in, it's
Hmm.
like headline making news. Like there's multiple articles from like publications about it,
Oh
which is
really?
awkward. I've to be fair, I truthfully, I've never once been laid off or fired as a working human being.
Until now.
The closest was when I was in college. I worked for a little cooking oil company, and not to make this like Frank's CV episode, but I worked for a little cooking oil company, like 3.5 employees, right?
Wait,
And they,
for safety concern, we're only talking
yeah,
about this because the statute of limitations on cooking oil companies has run out. So you can openly
correct.
disclose what you're
Sorry,
about
so
to
it
reveal.
was Soylent Green. It
It
was.
involves him putting his wiener in something, but uh,
I was. Yes, those. Yeah, just pick the hairs out. You're fine. So no, the
wiener hairs?
yeah, yeah. No,
He
so
goes with A.
they suddenly like, oops, we completely ran out of money to the point we can't pay you anymore. We're insolvent, but we love you. We already found you a job with the guys next door. So walk on over there, talk to Chris. Chris will take care of. So that
Okay.
was the closest thing to like being fired I've ever been.
Ah,
So this is my first time through this, and I'm not going to burn a whole lot more time in it. This is more than just because people
mm.
know what I do. Um, I do think maybe we do like a cringy when we do finally have a Patreon going, and you can like pay to play for the after dark episodes where we get hammered drunk and like smoke toad venom,
Ooh,
and like the
and
just the truth comes out, right? Maybe
yeah.
we'll have like a spill the dirt episode, but there's not really dirt, right? Like I deeply love all the people that work there still, and also the people that no longer work there. And I will still like be selling cars on the platform, and I will still be participatory, and I will still be taking pictures of cars that end up for sale on Cars Bids. And so but I did want to address it here on the front
Yeah.
because it's what's happening in my life, and who knows, very well that's going to be tying into PCP, because I now have
Ooh,
time to make progress on project cars.
God,
um
you're right.
but that is what's new in my life. What's new other than you've got herpetogonosyphilitis?
Yeah, no, just been battling this like congestion cold I've been fucking with for a while. I'm actually taking a vacation next week. And by
Whoa.
vacation, I every day I have a home project that I'm looking to check off my list, which is it sounds shitty, and it is shitty. It's gonna be really hard work, but it's gonna be cathartic. It's a
Mhm.
fucking mess, man. I moved a month and a half ago. I couldn't even find a socket set to take a wheel off a car the other day, and it's just like in my head, it just made dude. It just made me. I don't know who I am. I hate myself, and it does bother me. So I'm taking the whole week off of work, which is unprecedented. I took one vacation day last year, and everybody's like, "Are you like gone? Are you are you leaving?" And I'm like, no, probably not. I always say probably not. I don't ever want to overcommit. But
Right.
honestly, I'm going to be doing some big home projects, some stuff I want to get out of the way, and then back to business. But yeah, it's just it needs to be done. I'm going to work a couple car things in there. I'm going to do some trans fluid on the CT. So maybe I'll talk about
Mm,
that a little bit later.
cool.
I did do a little bit of work on the CT. So that's going to be in the PCP. But today, besides your bombshell, which is very interesting and, unfortunate at the
Breaking
same time,
news.
because you really busted your butt for that stuff. And you were always a proponent, a champion of the platform. And that's huge.
Sure.
I think it's been better. I think you're the best photographer that's ever graced that website. Your auctions, let's be honest. There's some pretty bad ones on there. Like
Yeah. Yeah. And
cringy.
and really, man, hurting cats, trying to like
Yeah.
just like tell people like, I mean, like you've seen a picture before, right? Like you know the concept,
Mhm.
sir or madam. Like make it straight, like take a picture of the thing, you know, and not like 11 pictures of the one fender.
Right.
Like you've seen a car, right?
Yes.
Like I don't know. It's baffling how like that can be like speaking another language for some people.
Yeah.
Like they just can never grasp the concept on how to like take a picture.
Composition matters, backdrop matters, like all these kind of things that you just take for granted, you son of a bitch. But there's a lot
Sure.
of poorly represented cars that are probably better than what they are, but are just horribly underrepresented. So yeah, I
Or the
just
other way around for the cars I sell. Wow, you made that shit box look really good.
this
So
guy can
well,
really polish a turd, let me tell you.
yeah.
Um, no, but that's all I wanted to say. My piece. So, like you did a lot, man. You were like a champion for that, and whatever. You're better off
Yeah,
for it. I know you got a lot of good stuff. You always have a plan, and it's cool to enjoy this time. I mean, this is always fleeting. It's always short. It's very
yep,
short. In retrospect, you'll be back in the grind soon, and wishing you had that time. We all do that in our lives when we do get this lucky little breaks, I like to call them. So,
sure.
breathe it in, buddy.
Hmm.
You're
Soak
good
it
at
up.
you're
Yeah,
good at
like
for
that's
it.
what's gonna be hard is like forcing myself to take some time, right? Because
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I already have people that are like, "This is here if you want it," like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "That's
yeah.
great. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that you think highly enough that like you want me involved." But it's been 48 hours. Like
Right.
I should probably slow play this a little bit, take some time to like unruin my garage that you can see behind me, and
Uh-huh.
to work on some of my shit boxes, and probably sell. Like take this time to like sell the stuff I've been talking since the inception of this podcast.
Yeah, true.
And I still have, and I
We'll
just
get,
like the truck and the 924 and
and
stuff.
that's
And
exactly what we're talking about today too. So I thought it made sense, right? Now
yeah,
we got some bandwidth to actually, do projects, which is what we love to do around these parts. So,
hmm,
and like that was a very organic conversation. I love that
yeah,
happened,
bang,
and we still got. We
bang.
still got. This is reality, guys. This is
Real
what you're
talk.
here for. This is what you're not paying for. But a couple of things, man. I thought like, what's yeah, I know you're still daydreaming about cars. I know we
Hmm.
do it
Oh
all
yeah.
the time, and our flavors change. I know personally, I'll be hooked on a car for a little while, and then I'll get interested in something else and start looking at it, and I'm like,
Hmm.
man, those are a good price, or like those are rare. I didn't realize how cool they were. So that's how I wanted to start this episode, and then maybe pivot into what you just talked about, like projects you already have that
Hmm.
and so this is logically how our brains work, but how our brains work illogically. We're thinking about more cars before we
Right.
think about how to finish the ones we already have. So that's how we're
Or
gonna.
like getting gainful income in my
Yeah,
case, you
I
know.
mean that's a thing too. Cars and income, they go hand in hand, I've heard.
Hmm.
So is there anything like Frank, like that you've kind of been eyeballing that doesn't need a use case, doesn't need a reason, something you've been thinking about picking up?
I mean, always, right?
Mhm.
I think it's funny. I'm thinking of stuff that I've been considering lately of like keeping my eyes open for.
Mhm.
Some of them we've talked about in the recent past, and some of them like are kind of just like fleeting thoughts
Yeah.
of like, oh, that would be fun, and I haven't seen one of those in a minute or whatever, right? And they're all very wildly different from one another,
Like
right? It's not like
Chevy
they're
Sprint Turbo, I think was
yeah.
your
Chevy
agenda.
Sprint Turbo is still. I was just talking, texting friend of the pod Mr. Robert Epley about his. So I might go check that out on Monday. We'll see.
Keep me really close on that one, okay?
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But other stuff, but they're not like, oh, I would love like a hot hatch, and that's like not even a hot hatch. That's like
No.
a warm puddle of piss hatch.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
yeah, it's exactly 98.6 degrees hatch. But no, it's not like all one thing, and so interest. Okay, so car donation they got in, and I'm going to be selling for them. It's not in the cards, and I don't remember if we talked about it on the pod. 1999 C43 AMG.
Okay.
Silver over black, 79,000 mile car.
Ooh.
And it was one owner till 2022. Second owner put like 5,000 miles on it since then and donated it.
Okay.
And so I would love to, I think it would be an incredible like neoclassic daily.
Yeah.
But I don't need that right now. And like it's probably worth in the mid-teens.
Yeah, I was gonna say 14, probably 14.
Yeah,
Based on condition. I don't know if the paint's great or
it's pretty clean. There's like one spot on the deck lid,
okay,
like this big, that's like darker for inexplicable reasons. A couple of little scuffs on the bumper, but it's a clean car.
Okay.
Mechanically really tight. I love the way that thing drives. I didn't think I would like it, but like, oh, it's just like a C class with a little bit of power. But like I like it more than like an E55 of that same era. Like it's a better size. Like it just feels.
It is a better size. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit smaller. The build quality is comparable. It's not quite as nice. Like the headliner like feels cheap, and so the door pockets are like hard plastic and like. But I like it. I thought it was rad, and so now I'm like, boy, if I can find one of those with like way more miles, right? Say 170K instead of 79.
Probably looking at like 9K, 8.5, 9,000.
Probably maybe even low. Yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah.
That would be rad. And like those motors, that M113 motor is bulletproof.
It's a lot of car.
Yeah, they look. I love the way they look. They look really good.
They look good.
They're built well. Yeah, and this one just like it's playful. Like the transmission's a little bit more aggressive than you would think.
Yeah.
It doesn't like it makes less power than the E55, but it doesn't really feel any slower. It's cool. I like it. And then I looked, right? Like if you were to guess, how many did they 99, right? Mid-run. How many do you think they sold in 99 in North America?
So I was super shocked because I looked up the C36, which is exceptionally rare. Those AMG cars, even though we don't think of them as rare, because you still see quite a few today, if you look, they were all rare. They were rare as shit. I want to say maybe 7,500 total ever made.
I think in 99 they sold like 500.
But that ran for a bit, didn't it?
I think 3 years. Let me look up the production numbers real quick.
I might be high, but
live research on the pod.
I'd say 5 to 75.
Total production run. Oh, what a dog shit article. Hold on.
Here's all the C class that were for those 3 years.
Yeah. My computer is being nightmarishly slow. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. My screen went completely black.
Do not try to Google.
Seconds.
Do not try to Google while podcasting. It's pushing the mainframe, dude.
Come on. Global production. 3,085.
Okay. It's always
global.
Much lower.
North America 1,200 produced for the entire run. 1999 got 546.
It's ridiculous how low those numbers are. Every time I'm surprised. But the C36 was like in the hundreds, like just a few hundred total, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's
total or something stupid like that. It's like insanely small.
Yeah, it's wild. But like let's see. Now I'm curious. We're doing more awful. Let's see. Global, North America got 896
total
C36s. Yeah,
that's ridiculous. That is insanely rare.
Yeah, between 95, 96, 97.
3 years. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
3 years, almost 800 or 900. Yeah. Yeah. So,
I think that's the rarest one. I think that is the
no,
rarest.
you know what the rarest one is?
Uh-oh.
My favorite?
The
R6,
R63.
R63.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's like 57 or something, or like 38. It's something like like, and you know why? Like who buys the muscle car minivan?
Yeah, right.
Me.
We would.
But
Yeah, we would
yeah.
buy that shit.
Yeah. So I like those cars a lot. And so if I can find a 36 or a 43, I think the 43, give me the V8, I suppose,
God,
and
I love how
the 5 speed auto.
the 36 gets me on looks though. I love the 36. But yeah, agreed.
I mean,
Uh,
they kind of look the same, but I think the 36s, especially like 95, like the earlier ones have a nicer, like the interior materials are a little nicer.
yep, yep.
6 speed swap though. That's what I got to do. I got to cannibalize the crossfire
Yeah, and that should be
for
a
the
plug and play.
transmission.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a good one, man. That's a good. Those old
Mhm.
AMGs are really awesome. The reinvention, the recent C43 didn't do it for me. I
No.
didn't like that too much at all. And they were all black. I don't think I've ever seen any color but black. But just like you said, that C43, they're all in silver. So it's just the
Yeah.
way AMG does things.
Mhm.
For me, something also German, and I talked about it before, 996, 911 cabs with manuals. It's just, it's the absolute cheapest 911 you can buy, period. I don't think there's another like, no, nothing beats that. Nothing with a clean title beats that. It's just they've kind of been stepping up in price a little bit. Obviously,
Mhm.
cabs always lag behind, but a rising water raises all ships, and 996s are appreciating a little bit, and it's just a matter of time because I can't think of a Porsche that appreciated and then stopped appreciating. They kind of will go up.
I don't
And
know. I can see them coming back down, not to where they were certainly, but
absolutely,
like I can see them coming down a little bit, but not like in a vacuum, like along with the rest of the market at large.
yeah.
Like some rare stuff will stay the same, but like I can see a world where 996s come down 20%, unless it's like a GT3 or a turbo manual.
D-
Um,
Dude, but the turbos used to be like 30 to 35. You can't get one under 45 anymore.
yeah, 45 for like one with some miles that's like
996,
mechanically tight.
yeah, a cab 996 with a manual used to be had for like 10 to 12. And now you're looking at 18 to 20 for a driver condition one, which is
Mhm.
what I'd be looking at. And the reason I want it is I do want a top-down car that I can take the kids in. And I think, until my son's a teenager. But you can put kids back there, which is fine. As an adult, I've ridden in the back of one of those. It's not good, but it can be done in a pinch. A little DWA rally flashback there. But no, you can. I kind of like that idea. I think it's the only way I'm ever going to own a 911. I'm not going to blow 60K on an air cooled Porsche. I think this is
Right.
a good thing. I think it's a better car than what like the general feeling is. I know the IMS isn't the biggest issue as they say it is. Most of them, and believe it or not, I'm seeing have already had that addressed, so they can move them on.
Right.
And then bore scoring any Porsche from that period, you're gonna look at that, right? You can just that's a thing. And if you're looking at 120,000 mile examples, guess what? Probably not going to be succumbing to bore score because that happens in
Yeah.
the 70K, 80K region.
I'm
So
trying. That gets me thinking of like, what would a good alternative be, right? For let's say around 20 grand, 4-seat convertible manual.
I don't know.
Like so many of the 4-seat cars, SC300, XK8, or XKR,
XKR, yeah.
they're automatic only,
Sure.
like, and then stuff that's manual, Miata S2000,
No backs.
Fiata, no backseat. And so,
Capri XR2, but
yeah,
that's kind of a different thing, right? Than a 911.
yeah,
It's
like,
not
yeah,
300 horsepower.
Sebring. Like, I
Yeah,
don't,
sure.
I mean, I suppose you can go,
Audi A4.
well, you can go Eclipse.
Yeah, you could
You can do Eclipse
GS
Spider,
right, GST Spider, sure.
GSC Spider, or a third gen V6
Oop.
Spider. Um,
Still very different animals than a 911, but yeah.
famously different. Um,
I
Yeah,
wish the MR2 had back seats, like the third gen MR2. If that had back seats, that would be something very interesting to look at.
like I don't know why, because I'm pretty much like a Toyota honk. Like
Hmm.
I really, especially like 80s 90s Toyota stuff. I've never been able to get into that third gen MR2.
I
I've
can.
just it's never tickled me in the right way. Like I don't the styling doesn't do anything for me. It's got the wrong motor in it.
I think that was
But
by
then
design. Yeah.
it was, but then at the same time, it's like it's a manual mid-engine Toyota. Like I should love that car. Like
You
it's
got to
right.
drive one because I enjoyed
I
them. I actually
have.
drive one, and you didn't like it? Get out of
I
here.
you
Heresy.
know, did I take it on a good road? No.
That's it. Just normal driving, it's nothing. You couldn't you
Hmm.
it doesn't matter where the engine is at that point. When you
Right.
get that thing in the twisties, even stock, I found it to be incredibly enjoyable. And though that is the hamstrung engine, I thought it was fine. It's a very low curb weight car. I think it's quirky and interesting enough. I think the interior is kind of cool. It does look neat. There's certain angles when you view it. Yeah, the big headlights that were like, I don't know. It was just kind of a problem with all car design at that time. The big,
Especially
taillights, big
Toyotas.
headlights. Yeah, they really mess with the proportions. But that rear angle, with you get the louvers for the engine cover, and it just has a very unique look. I don't know. I find them kind of interesting. Aftermarket has gotten pretty good with them too, like suspension and fun stuff like that. I heard with suspension mods, they're absolutely brilliant. So
I
I would
wonder
mess
if you
around with
can
one.
get the problem for me is like a good clean one with like under 100,000 miles. Like people want just too much money for 'em, if
Yeah,
I'm
but
being
F that,
honest.
dude. I see 120, 140K examples going for like 6, 7, 8 still.
You know what I think the play is? Find one where the motor's popped and then K swap it. And then make yourself like build a 10,000 RPM
Horrible.
K20 with like mid 200 horsepower. Um and just have like your Elise plus, you know?
I just can't. You're crossbreeding the Japanese super giants. I can't do it, man. I'll 2ZZ it. I'll give you that. I'll 2ZZ it.
Maybe 2ZZ with a supercharger.
Absolutely. So it's an Exige. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. 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 Right. Like
Dollar
dollar
store
store
Exige.
Exige.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
There we are.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
good. But no, I think the Cab 996 is what it is because it's not going to be a track weapon. I'm not going to use it like that for just like fun with the fam and also back road tearing up every once in a while. 300 horsepower. You can get some fun exterior colors with them. I think it's a good play right now, and I don't think they stay
yeah.
20K. I don't think in 10 years it's an under 20K car, man.
I don't, yeah.
996s. They'll be 30. They'll be 30. Just watch. It was like when I bought my Cayman, like what, 10
Yeah,
years?
but
Remember what
between
happened to
now and
Cayman?
10 years from now, after we carpet bomb Winnipeg and claim Panama as our own, when the dollar will be worth 110,000, when hyperinflation hits, yes,
Yeah,
it'll
see?
be worth 30.
Get on
Um,
it, man.
the only problem I have with your plan, and not to be like Mr. Shit on everything you like today, but the problem I have with a 996 cab
Hmm.
is that I can also have a 996 coupe.
Top down,
I
baby.
I know, and that's why I don't dislike
The kids in the
convertibles.
back going, "Ah." It's just
Oh
you.
my god!
It's
Yeah,
just so much more. It's so much more of an experience.
what's that?
And
What's that rattling sound coming from this M96 motor? Oh, it's the IMS failing. It's
that's how
cool.
Porsches sound.
Yeah. But no, and like because I agree. Like in a vacuum, I like that car, but I think I
Yeah.
would walk up to it every time when it has the soft top up and be like, God, I wish this was a coupe. It just the styling.
Dude, they have hard
Porsche does a
tops.
pretty good
They
job
have
about
hard tops,
making.
Frank. You get
I
80% there.
know.
You get 80% there. All right. And then you
I
can
don't
ditch the
know.
hard top and go topless. But the
I don't
fact,
know. You
I don't
ever
know.
been 80% hard? It doesn't work.
Yeah, I make it work, dude.
We're over
I think
40,
I
okay?
think
Of course we
I've
have.
I've made it work with like a 65 before, dude.
Mm.
Um, like a
Pushing some serious
popsicle stick
pushing
and
some
some
serious road. Yeah,
band-aids.
there you go. Yeah. Medic. Medic.
Put a splint on it, baby.
Yeah.
No, dude,
But
I'm still thinking about him. I still see him for like 18, 19 in good shape and good
sure.
histories and IMS done. And it's just like, fuck. I think that works for what I'm looking for. And then I can check the 911 box and I will never fucking go back there. I will never I'll never go back.
I,
That's it.
I can see myself one day doing the 911 box. I just, and that might be, and that would like, and I hate to do it because I don't really want a 996,
Mm.
but I'd mess with a 996 in a good color in a coupe with a manual.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I would do it if the price was right. But I still think that like in my mind I can get more interesting stuff for the same money, except for the exact recipe that you're looking for. Top down, 4-seat manual for not an obscene amount of money. Like
Yeah. Rear
that's the
engine,
exception.
throw in rear engine, throw in Porsche pedigree, 911 namesake. It all boils into that. And I think
Yeah.
it's like the only option at
Because
that.
otherwise I get a cheap 986, but
Sure.
there's no back seat. So
Back
for
seat.
your
That's it.
specific recipe, um, that might be it. Like I'm racking my brain sitting here trying to think of a decent 4-seat manual
You can
convertible.
do that also. You can also get a four, Carrera four cabriolet. But
Right.
the thing is though, I get into that car, right? And I enjoy it for 2 years. I'm selling that thing for the exact same I paid, if not more,
Mhm.
because I probably do some maintenance along the way, right?
Right.
So to me, that like bakes into it too, right? Because I always factor that in. And if I can have fun for a couple years and come out positive even or just break even, win.
Right. Until that IMS does go, and then
Okay, you know
there goes your
what?
break even.
I'll just get the IMS already done or do it myself. Fuck it.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, interesting. God, you know what's going to happen now? I'm going to wake up at like 3 a.m. in like a
Start
cold
looking.
sweat. No, I'll just wake up and just have this epiphany of like, what about the blah 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 blah, like some other car that
Oh,
fits
it's
that
tough. It's
exact.
real. Yeah, find me that manual convertible
Aha,
sports
I got
car.
it. I got it.
The back seat.
Volvo C70.
Horrible.
Volvo
Fail.
C70. That works.
No, it
You can get that with a manual, turbo, 5-speed
same
manual.
pedigree. Same pedigree. Yeah.
Bear with me here, okay? I'm trying. Um,
I'll give it to you. Mini Cooper convertible. There we go.
yeah, there you go. Can you get a JCW in a convertible? Did they do a JCW
Ooh,
convertible?
that's a great question. I don't know if they did.
And
I
like an
don't recall ever
R53?
seeing one. Yeah. And then someone will be like, "Why don't you just get a GP with no back seat?" Talk about
Yeah.
expensive. Um, what else you
Yeah,
got,
no.
dude? That's it. You already shot my dreams up.
Um, you know what I've never owned? A Honda Prelude.
Oh,
I want a Prelude. Kind of any gen, if I'm really being honest. If I can find a good example, any generation
any gen. Yeah.
in like the right color, right condition, right transmission, right spec. Um spec,
Mm.
like colors, like really the only color transmission is kind of the only
It's like
option on the four.
SH or not on the later ones. That's the
Yeah,
only,
SH or not.
same motor.
Trim level in the medium ones, right? You go in S, you go in SI, you go in VTEC, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
And maybe you go like, 4-wheel steering or not.
Yeah. Mm.
Um a first gen is an awful, dreadful, terrible car that
Mhm.
I cannot shake out of my mind. For some reason, they're very intriguing to me, even though they're just a bad automobile.
Yeah,
Like
it's an interesting car. I'll say that.
second gen is cool. They're not fast.
Mm-mm.
Um, but they're intriguing. They're built well. They're what, 110 horsepower, I think.
Yeah, which is fine.
If it's injected, if it's carbureted, it's like 100, and those carbs are a nightmare to mess with.
Yep. Wouldn't mess with that.
Third gens are really cool. I've driven a handful of third gens.
Yep.
If you've driven one with the 4-wheel steering, it's riotous at low speeds.
You absolutely feel it. Like it
Dude,
jumps in. It doesn't
it
give a
feels
shit.
like the rear's on coasters.
Yep. It's
Or
wild.
casters, he's tried to say.
Yeah.
Incredibly cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not fast, certainly, but like
Sure.
what a party trick.
Yeah.
Fourth gen is my favorite. I'm a fourth gen truther. If I can get a clean fourth gen VTEC, digital gauges, all that, like what a I really, really, really like those cars a lot.
Mm.
and I've spent some time in them. I've actually never. No, I have driven a VTEC. I drove a red VTEC one that was at Car Donation once, but it needed a full repaint and it
Yeah.
needed a timing belt. And at the time I couldn't pull the trigger on it. It was a one owner car. It was very cool.
Wow.
And fourth gens are also very cool. Mechanically quite similar to that fourth gen.
Yeah. I
Um,
what's your favorite engine option with the fifth gen? Because I would like to say it's all
yeah,
H22.
the only one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's wonderful. You get your choice though. You get four wheel steering or you don't. So that's why I like the fifth gen.
super handling.
And they did the right thing. They swapped the headlights and taillights in the right order. That's all they did. I'm still convinced they gave you
Yeah.
one engine option, which was the best one. The H22 is fucking sick. But they
Mhm.
they just swapped the taillight and headlight basically. And I think it looks more cohesive. I think it still looks good. I think the fourth gen looked great, but the fifth gen just does it. I want to get one of those non-SH. I really like those cars.
I like
Interiors are
those cars a
nice.
lot.
Interiors are incredibly nice.
I would do the earlier like 97, 98 ones because a lot of them came in that like eucalyptus green.
Yeah.
And I like the eucalyptus green with the tan cloth
Hmm.
with a 5-speed. SH or not, whatever, figured out. Um, yeah, those are cool. I still prefer a fourth gen, but I would take that fifth gen. Those are cool. And the problem is anymore now, it's either they're an automatic and it's
Yeah.
failing, or the paint's blasted off of it and there's no
Yep.
paint on it because that's just that era of Honda,
Yep.
or it's modded with the dumbest, stupidest, hot glued to the car mods
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
And
Cut
it's on,
springs,
yeah, it's on cut
horrible aftermarket
springs. They
wheels.
just removed the shocks, just like absolute, yeah, awful failing chrome aftermarket wheels.
Ugh.
Tint has been scraped off and reapplied 11 times.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, but like what's interesting is I feel like that era, especially the fifth gen, we're
Yep.
at the part where we're at the time where if it was like 60-year-old dude bought one for himself as a retirement present and drove it to golf every weekend and like parks it in his garage with a car cover on it. Well, now he's kicking it, right? He's finally he's shedding his mortal coil,
Hmm.
and those cars are coming. I think we're at the time we're going to see some of those coming out of the woodwork as like, oh, this was grandpa's car and he took great care of it.
Yep.
And it's on its fifth timing belt, even though it's got 61,000 miles on it because he meticulously maintained it.
Sick.
Yeah, like that's the one to get. You're gonna have to pay up, right?
That's going to be pricey. It's going to be a
You're
20,
either get
30K car all day.
yeah, and it's not. I mean, is that worth it? Yes. Is the driving experience worth it? No. But I still want one. Like
They do. They
they
drive
drive well.
incredibly well.
They
Yeah.
do drive
Like a
well, and they're put
sorted
together
one.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but you can get your 996 for the same money at that point. But
Yep.
yeah, if you can find one that's well maintained, like around 100,000 miles, not modded, first or second owner,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, those are
I
sweet.
would like, truthfully, I would like a fourth or fifth gen. Um, but I would like I if the right deal came on any generation Prelude,
Right.
that's a box I've never checked, that ownership, and so I would like to check that box.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'm always looking at them. They're out there, but like you said, clean ones aren't always out there. And I think they're awesome. I think that's a slept on car. I think those should appreciate and probably will
Yeah.
as the numbers dwindle. I'm with you there, man. Other car I've been thinking about that I've probably been talking about too much is the goddamn Outback XT from the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
I can't stop looking them up. It is harder to find them with the manual, but they do exist. I've got the Forester XT backdrop today. If you're watching, it's essentially the same vehicle. It's a little longer with the legacy platform, a little lower, sleeker, but same use case. Really, it's just a
Mhm.
lifted, fully functional, uh, really punchy turbocharged motor. Say what you will, but these things are going for 4 to 8K in decent condition. I don't think they were hit like the Forester XT, like that picture of my Forester XT. That's a rare fucking
Mhm.
sight. Those things are
Yeah.
usually slammed gold wheels, STI components, bullshit, got 1500 cc injectors, bro. Just it's gonna
Ooh.
blow. It's gonna blow the next time you take it to Redline. But the XT Outbacks didn't get fucked with for the most part. Many of them serve their purposes, like those families that wanted an outdoor recreational capable vehicle that still could haul a lot of shit because it's a lifted wagon. I'm still feeling it. If I get one, Frank, I might do a
Mhm.
Cobb tune to be silly. Maybe open up the
Oh yeah,
exhaust a little bit. Maybe
downpipe.
a little blow off flutter. Yeah, up pipe, down pipe. That's where you get the horsepower out of those engines. And then off road tires, mild lift.
Yeah, 300 horsepower.
Done.
Yeah,
Oh,
take it on
and
some gravel roads.
yep, that's all I would do. And yeah, all in, you're probably at 10K for like a fucking cool vehicle.
Yeah,
With a manual, with a 5-speed manual. So gonna see it.
yeah. I've we talked about that car fairly recently here on the pod, and
Yes, we do.
yeah, I'm right there with you. Like that's a cool machine.
Mm-hmm.
Slept on, and you can sleep in, right?
You absolutely could. Yeah.
As long as I don't park it in the Safeway parking lot down the street from my house, and then I'll find an unhoused woman sleeping in it
You'll have a
instead
roommate.
of
Yeah.
yeah, and her dog. Don't forget the dog.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. Involuntary roommate. I feel like that's a good name for like
From the people that brought you Human Centipede 3.
People from the
Involuntary
experience.
roommate.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
no, it's just these things are cool, man, and I actually do think they look cool. It's not like a car that's put in an outlandish position. He tried to say, not to be confused with a Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi Outlander
Yeah,
position.
right.
Yeah.
There's a joke there. But yeah, it looks the part with the big fog rally lights and just the hood
Mhm.
scoop and the way it looks, the cladding. It's just I don't know. There's so much I like about that car from the get go, and the idea of like making it a little more adventurous is just sweet. You don't go beyond stage two with these Subarus, guys. If you've owned Subarus, I think I've owned like 6 or 7 turbo Subarus in my life. You just
Mhm.
don't go past stage two, Frank. You open
Yeah.
up the exhaust, you put, a little more power to it. You don't fuck with turbos or fueling and just, it's good. Life is good. Get a couple extra ponies. Don't blow your shit. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Don't make it undrivable. Oh, I put this like 4 puck ridiculous ass clutch from 2006. Fucking yeah. Hot import night special.
Oh,
Yeah. No.
shit. Horrible. And the fact is too that these can be had so cheaply, and they double. You could use it for daily duty if you need to take it into work. Use it for a rainy day, whatever. They're
Mhm.
good cars. Like at the end of the day as well. It's not just some weird like special scenario emergency vehicle or zombie apocalypse. This thing can like
Mhm.
literally do any daily duties. Like we said, it's probably the best up there with the Forester XT, one of the best Swiss Army knife vehicles of all time. So I I just keep looking at these things, man. I don't need it, but
No.
I do.
But you want it.
I do. I
Yeah.
kind of need it. Yeah.
Um. Can I take us in a wildly different direction, real
Yeah.
quick,
Yeah. As expected. But
before we
yeah,
move on?
let's do it.
Um. How familiar are you with the International Harvester?
I know it a fair bit. If you're going to reference the new one, I'm going to get upset a little bit.
No,
That's
no, no.
atrocious.
International as a brand just makes commercial trucks, but
Mm.
Scout is a thing. I don't even know what they call their 2 new Rivian spin-offs, the truck and the SUV. I think is one called the Traveler?
Yeah, but Scout is still in play. They brought that name back.
Yeah, well, Scout is
Mhm.
the make now
Yeah.
instead of the model.
Even though
So
it's a Rivian, like you
Scout,
said.
a Scout always comes back. I think that's like their their play, their
Yeah.
whatever we're calling it, their tagline. Um, and I don't know what the new ones are called. Maybe one's called the Traveler. I don't know.
That sounds.
But I'm talking about the Travel All, the International Travel All, which was in the 60s and 70s, the full size 4-door people mover suburban competitor.
Yeah.
And the most popular one was the final generation one, which I think they did from like something like 69 or 70 until like 75 or 76.
Yeah, had a pretty good run.
But before, and they're very cool. I like the earlier ones, like the
Mm.
like the mid 60s ones. Very unique car, very utilitarian, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. I like either the second or third gens,
Mm.
but they're still around. They don't pull the same money as a Scout.
Because I was gonna say the Scouts, like a fully restored Scout, is serious cash.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
No, they're
a good amount of cash.
even like a clean, rust-free, mostly original drivers, like 25 to
Yeah, I was
30.
gonna say mid-20s all day at
Yeah.
least. Yep.
Yeah. And so but you can get like a very, very, very nice travel all for in the teens.
Mm,
And that, the top doesn't come off. It doesn't have this like off-road sexiness necessarily.
right.
But if you're primarily going to be on road, occasional like off road, and like if you want like a vintage, like camping rig, take to the fishing hole kind of rig,
Kind of perfect.
I think it's far more of an
Mm.
interesting vehicle than a Suburban of that era.
Yeah.
Um, or like a Grand Wagoneer, like a Wagoneer.
Yeah.
For less money. It's more intriguing. They had weird options on them as far as like interior, exterior colors. A lot of them had like the Woody wagon like paneling on them, which is cool.
It is. Yeah.
I think at the time you can spec one out with like I don't remember what their biggest motor is. It's like maybe a 401, or maybe I'm confusing that with an AMC big block. But like they had like big tow capacity.
Right.
They're just cool. They're very very cool.
You named it with utilitarian because those things were about as truck as you could get inside too. It
Yeah, anything international.
was very
They made
truck.
they made like threshers. Harvester is in the name of the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Like they proper agricultural machinery.
Right.
And yeah, like the last generation ones were the most like, I don't know, pedestrian's not the right term, but like they had actually like a splash of niceties, like not just a vinyl bench on the front. You can get like actual seats and like a center console and like
Carpet, I heard, was an option. Yeah.
like optional air conditioning. What?
Ooh.
Yeah, just insane. And so, but yeah, like really any of them they're all very, very cool. They all stand out in a crowd. Do recommend.
Yeah.
I would like to get one of those if I can find one for just run it around for a little bit. Just have it for a summer. For like a low speed, rickety, noisy, rattly take to the campsite locally kind of a thing. I think that would be excellent.
Oh
yeah. Get no miles a gallon. I'm into it.
I love it.
345 V8. Yeah, let's go.
Hell yeah. Just stay away from those rust monsters. Those things loved rust.
Yeah.
But dude, I love how we totally wanted to do two parts of this episode, but it looks like we're just car daydreaming too hard.
We are.
Might as well just keep it there. We're almost quiz time, but I just want to mention one more type of vehicle I'm looking at, man.
Yeah.
I mentioned this a lot. Little beater truck. I'm looking for a little beater pickup still, man. The trying to get an old Toyota pickup, Hilux, and the rest of the world, they're just impossible. I think, and then anything with a Toyota badge, people are jumping on that and like thinking
Toyota tax
thing. Yeah, exactly. Like everything's so pricey. However, there's still like the Mighty Maxes, the D50s, or the Dodge 50. You can get any Nissan, old Ford Ranger, anything
I would say
like that.
early Ranger.
Yeah,
grab like an 84 Ranger.
Absolutely. So
two-tone.
Here's my only requirement: bench seat. That's all I'm only looking at, which kind of rules out some of those Nissans. You got to be careful about that. The King cabs always had like captain seats. But I want a single cab. I don't give a shit if it's 4-wheel drive for a little truck. It's gonna be a little haul shit around truck, and then a manual. That's all I want, man. Something small, something fun, something that the current market for trucks is completely devoid of. Is that little truck?
What do you think the absolute, like on average, the absolute cheapest make model out of like say an 80s to 90s compact truck? Like what do you think the absolute cheapest?
I think I literally probably name more of them. I think it's Ranger and Mighty Max. I see those very cheap. A lot of those Mighty Maxes were converted to like little work trucks. And then the Rangers, same deal. I feel like there are more Rangers, but both, I think they're both like pissing in the same pool. I think they're both about the same price point. And
No S10 or Sonoma.
the S10s have too much of a following. I think that kind of kept the price a little higher. Rangers, for some reason, and I love those boxy early Rangers, like you said. They're just,
Yeah, the egg crate grill.
it's a
Yeah.
good looking truck, dude. And this crew cab, short bed, 5-speed manual. Let's go.
Or you mean regular cab, not crew
Yeah,
cab.
sorry, regular cab. Yeah.
Would
I
you
don't
go?
need anyone else in
I'm a
there.
sucker for regular cab long bed.
It depends. I mean, what's a long bed on a Mighty Max? 6 feet.
Yeah, right. Um, yeah, oh, yeah. There's some cool stuff. Get a B2200,
Yep.
Isuzu Pup, Chevy
Yep.
Love. If you
Chevy
want to go
Love,
like
baby.
proto, S10, love truck,
The
the light
original.
utility vehicle. There's a
Gotcha.
guy. There's a guy that works at the AutoZone near my house,
Oh, he's got.
and he has a lowered yellow Chevy Love with white steel wheels, and with dog dish hubcaps on it, like chrome dog dish hubcaps. And it looks really good. It's got just enough patina on it,
Yep.
which is almost a requirement. You know what I think I would do? Hard to find. Kind of older than you're thinking. But if you can find an old Toyota Stout
Mm.
from
God,
the
that's hard to
from the
find. That
60s
is
and early
really,
70s,
really
they're
hard.
hard. They're hard to find, but they don't usually pull big money. Like you can get like a very nice one for like 10.
Yeah.
Um,
If you can find it. That's the
yeah,
real.
that's the problem. Like,
But if you want to be silly, I would also do the brat competitors, the Scamp or the Rampage.
oh,
I would
bro,
fuck around. I'd fuck around with a Scamp so hard, dude. You
I
little
would,
Scamp.
I would, yes, I would eat a scamp to own a scamp, like,
Yeah.
or Rampage, dude. Rampages, yeah,
Same.
those are so sick.
So cool.
They're all either red or orange in my mind.
Yeah, and they have no paint left in my mind, and it's down to the plastic primer on the bumpers.
Yeah, the
I
dash
mean,
is shattered.
completely shattered. But I still want one so bad, dude.
Yeah, those are great. Those are, I mean, they're not great, but they're great.
They're fucking great.
They're so cool. Yeah, and or how about this VW Caddy?
Yeah, God, they're cool too.
Yeah, get a diesel to hold like 65 horsepower or what have you.
Oh yeah,
Um,
but guess what? The swaps don't matter because you don't have to smog.
that's right. Give me that 10,000 RPM K swap I was talking about,
There we go.
or
Jeez.
go full John Jesse, the
Oh
the
yeah.
rear drive, yeah, swap it onto my Miata chassis.
Brutal.
Yes. Should we play? Should we put a pause on this?
Yeah, we could
And
definitely
put
we could take up the second chapter next week for sure.
Yeah. So we should do that. What we should also do is our print ad quiz game. I'm going to find this ad for my computer that's about to freeze. You tell the good people at home what we're doing. And we'll hopefully I'll still be here.
Well, Frank's demanding an awful lot from his archaic PC. We are playing a little thing we call the Automotive Print Ad Quiz Game Show, guys. We read a magazine print ad that's on the internet through technology. And this time, Frank's going to read it to me. I have to guess what he's talking about. He's very professional about this. He's going to omit anything that gives the vehicle away. I have 3 guesses to figure out what the hell he's trying to describe. These ads are never based in reality, so it's always kind of fun. Every time I miss, I can ask for a little bit of help as I struggle, as I drown, and Frank will usually put his foot right on my face and laugh. It's like the scene from Neverending Story when Artek's drowning in the swamp of despair. But sorry to take you there. That's a crying moment for everybody. But yeah, 10 minutes is all I have. 80s, 90s, mid 2000s are fair game cars for this game. Frank, I'm as ready as I'll ever be. Can you please roll that beautiful bean footage?
Absolutely. This is a 1-page ad. The vehicle in question is black. It's kind of at like I call it a 15-degree angle. It's on dirt. It looks like there's like a sheer cliff face in the background. And then it says above it, and they actually put quotes here. Quote, it's part mountain goat and part mountain condo. Off-road
I thought,
enthusiast.
I thought you said mountain condom, and I'm like,
The old mountain condom. Yeah.
it's part mountain goat. Also, he's
I
really
just
safe, dude. He practices safe mountain goat sex. Okay, I got
mountaineering,
it.
mountain queering. But no, like I saw it made me think of uh I just when you said mountain condom, I just pictured some like yogi that's lived in the mountains for hundreds of years, and all he's doing is like carving like a granite prophylactic, and just like he doesn't even speak anymore because he's so lost in his art. And that's
I
he
don't
lives
know why.
he lives in
I
the
swear
mountains.
to God, I heard you say that.
Let me repeat it. Let's start over here, okay? Let's
Yes,
get us
please.
back on track. Quote, it's part mountain goat and part mountain condo.
Mm.
Off-road enthusiasts are learning that just because the terrain is rough doesn't mean they have to rough it. Not with the new blank two-door blank four-wheel drive blank blank. Its advanced 3-liter power plant generates 150 horsepower, 180 pound-feet of torque. And with shift on the move, four-wheel demand, and that's like four-wheel drive, but like 4WD, but then the D is EMAND afterwards. So like 4W demand.
Mm.
It's like it's their branded four-wheel drive for
Got
this
it.
era. Okay. 4W demand. Blank is the complete off-road machine. And yet, with its luxury interior, new coil spring rear suspension, and gas-filled shocks, it's also an extremely comfortable way to get away. Call 1-800 blank blank if you'd like a blank brochure or the location of your nearest dealer. And then there's a tagline, which I'm not going to read for this company because you will 100% get it if I read the tagline. Maybe that might be the final hint if you need it. And then at the bottom, there's a little bit of fine print. It says blank supports the U.S. Forest Service's quote tread lightly program and reminds you when you go off road, go easy on the environment. Chadwick, what are we talking about here? What is part mountain goat, part condo?
Uh,
Mountain condo.
mountain condoms. So this is interesting, man, because I pictured when you described the ad, I pictured something different than what I'm going to take my first guess, which I think I've got it nailed down, but more on that later. I pictured it's from this period, lots of like two-door off-road kind of vehicles, right? The market was flooded with these things. So I pictured something like small, because that's what I thought condo. I went with condo and I went like a small.
Oh, I thought you were like saying, oh, small, like what I'm used to when it comes to condoms.
Yeah, it's small in the
Right.
use category, a
Mhm.
small chance of using. Um,
Cloudy with a chance of condoms.
my urine has been cloudy because of these choices. But so I thought small, but then as you read the ad, I'm like, this is well, first the displacement, 3-liter, 6-cylinder. Ruled out a lot of those small vehicles. Everything would have been talking about 16 valve 4-cylinder. So it ruled out all the, the Geo Trackers, the Rocky, Daihatsu, the all the other stuff where my mind goes. So you did describe the interior quite a bit. And this is really an age when SUVs kind of separated from trucks, right? They were trying to be like a little more family oriented, a little more livable. I think was the biggest difference, honestly, when you talk about SUVs versus trucks. Um, I don't want to belabor the point. I just don't know if I'm going to get the year right. But I believe we're talking about, and this would have been an earlier one. This is a Toyota 4Runner. Final answer.
Do you have a year, sir?
When did this is not the early one. This is not when they first basically welded a cab onto the Toyota pickup. So this is probably like 91. Yeah. 3-liter inline six, right? 91.
It is not a 3-liter inline six. It's a 3-liter V6 in the new 1990 Toyota two-door 4Runner 4-wheel drive SR5 V6.
Very nice.
So yeah, It is that's the first year, the second generation Toyota 4Runner,
Yep.
which if you are super nerdy in your Toyota 4Runner fandom,
Not that hard.
you could figure out that it was specifically that it was a second gen, not because they were talking about the interior and this and that, but because they said it now has a coil spring rear suspension.
Where it was the torsion bar.
The first generations were leaf spring.
Yeah. Wait,
yeah,
did
with
that
the
have
torsion bar front.
did they
The
still
first gen
have
were
solid?
torsion bar.
Yeah. Solid front.
No, so the first generation went independent front in the first generation starting in 86. So only 84 and 85 were solid front end.
Got it.
And then 86 got the IRS in the front.
That's right.
90 got the new generation, which was still very much based on the Toyota pickup. Like it shared sheet metal on the front end. They didn't share frame, but some of the frame was shared, like the first chunk of it. But yeah. And what's interesting is the two-door, I believe they killed off in 92, I think.
Okay.
So for the first few years in the second generation, you can get the two-door. And in fact, instead of reading the two-door ad, I almost read the four-door ad. And in the four-door ad for this 1990, they say the all-new four-door.
Oh, wow.
And one of the versions there's several versions of this ad. And in one of the and I had multiple options, but in one of the versions, it just said like it's new four doors. Like the doors themselves were new.
Right.
Like, well, sure. But yeah, like, so it was the first time they went with a four-door, and then they carried over a two-door for a while. And the two-doors were they'd sold none of them. They were very rare, very unpopular, but I think they're cool.
They look way better than the four doors. But the second gen, it did look like a more solid design, whereas that first gen really does look like they welded a cab on the back of a regular pickup.
Well, what didn't help too is on the first gen, they also sold from Toyota. You can get a camper shell for your standard cab Toyota pickup that looked like the 4Runner, the back of the 4Runner.
Ridiculous.
And so it was like it might have even been like partially advertised as like the 4Runner camper shell.
Yep. Second gen.
Yeah, what a cool looking truck. Black. You never see him in black.
You know what it is that makes it look right? And I said the same about my Trooper is like when everybody, because SUVs were just the evolution of pickups or like maybe like a weird branch on that tree. They were always, pickups used to be two-door, period. Right. And then maybe you had the suicide doors eventually, and then a full crew cab, right? Or full cab or whatever they called it, each manufacturer. I think they just looked more right with two doors on these SUVs. Sure, four doors is very functional, but they still, to this day, the early SUVs just look so good with two doors.
Yeah.
They just do. Pathfinder is another example. I think the early Pathfinders look
Trooper RS.
Trooper, yeah, no, the extra short one for 89. Yeah. But yeah, no, I still think they look much better with two doors. Why was I was way ahead of myself thinking inline sixes, by the way, wasn't I?
Yeah, there was never an inline six in a 4Runner.
Yep.
Inline four, 22 RE in this generation still was an option. Although I don't know, for some reason, I think most of the two doors were pretty optioned out. Like, I don't know if you can get a 22 RE in a two-door at the time. I don't know. I'm not like that. I would say probably the second generation 4Runner is probably my least favorite. Maybe like the new, not the new one, but like the one they made for eternity, like from like 2011 to like current.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, they've grown on me. Like, especially two-door guys. This one, like, the ad just looks really cool. Like, I'm into it. So good job. First guess. You nailed it.
I went right there. It didn't feel like a Montero, which would have been the other, V6 6-cylinder option. Right. But yeah, I don't know, man. These interiors, I think the interiors took the biggest jump because you started talking about the interior line. I'm like, well, why would they be touting that? The Mitsubishi Montero was not that much better in 1990 than it was the previous year. I can't remember when they really changed that interior up. I think it was like the mid 80s is when they went through their big jump. But the first gen 4Runner interior was very different than the second gen.
Yeah.
So
no,
second gen still feels pretty modern, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, they are. They feel a lot like a third gen.
Yep.
And then a fourth gen is another big leap.
Huge. Yeah.
As long as the dash doesn't crack. But yeah. Very cool. Job well done,
How haven't we done a
sir.
Forerunner yet? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Um, I think we've done a 4-door.
Okay.
But I don't know. I know we've done a third gen. I'm pretty sure we've done a first gen. I know we've done that generation truck. I don't know. I know we hadn't done a 2-door second gen Forerunner. I
No,
didn't even
that's
look at the
sick.
sheet. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, cool. So yes, job well done.
Thank you, man.
Should we celebrate with some project car progress?
Yeah. Have you already broken into your progress or you
No, I've spent the last 4 days um just like talking to people, like just doing a network thing, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, like that. And people call me like, oh, hey, I saw this weird article about like people getting laid off. Like, you're cool, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool, but I'm also fun employed, right? Like,
Decidedly uncool right
yeah,
now.
yeah, I'm so uncool, bro. So yeah, just like talking through. So I haven't made a lot of progress. I got some stuff going on this weekend, but I think like Monday, Tuesday, I'm gonna have an opportunity to really make some progress.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I think, as I alluded to earlier, it's going to be, I think, step one is I'm going to try and tackle the 924. The headlights are stuck up because they shorted out, and I need to figure out, I need to at least get them retracted. Ideally, I would fix them, right? But if the motor's burnt out, like, we'll see, right? Somebody told, like, the last shop that touched it said like, oh, like the motor shorted out, it shorted to ground and burnt. And I looked, and like I spent a few $100s to get a used one of questionable rapport on eBay. And it's like, God, man, this car is just snatching my soul. So
Yeah.
if I can get them retracted and be like, they work, it's just the motor's cooked. And and then fine. Um, so we'll see. I don't know. I might just put it on marketplace for a little bit because I don't feel really good about like auctioning it.
Mhm.
I might auction it. Um,
There isn't a manual control to lower the lights down
that's what I need to look to see
because the
if
Miata has
it
the
might just
little
be like
twisties.
pop the linkage out and then slap them down.
Yeah, but on
Um,
the Miatas they have a manual thing where you can lower them
yeah,
back
there's
down.
like a boot, right? You take the
Yep,
boot off and you crank it. Yeah,
twist the knob. Yeah.
yeah, that's how the Mark II Supra was. I don't know. I don't know if this has that same provision. I'll have to look.
Mm.
Um, so it'll be, yep, like do that, knock the cobwebs out of it, get it washed, and then do some photo work. You get it sold. Same on the truck, the 41 truck. It's kind of time. So get that. And then, yeah, and then it's also this upcoming week, I might be bringing a Sprint Turbo home. I know it needs a
Woo!
battery and it needs
Yeah.
to be registered, which means I have to smog it.
Yep.
So it's got an out of state title. So Lord knows when the last time
Oh
it passed California smog mode.
boy. Yeah, I didn't.
Um,
That's interesting.
yeah,
Especially
that's
those
part of,
old turbo cars from that period.
yeah, if it decides it wants to like enrich when it shouldn't, or there's a vacuum leak, and yeah, like there's a lot of little gotchas there. Um, and then the Accord. So if I that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like if I can get if I get the 924 and the truck moved, it might extend my fun employment.
Yeah.
B, it it will free me up to deal with the 87 Accord,
Right.
get that thing sorted, get that thing smogged. Um, and also I'll have an opportunity to make some content with this stuff, right? Not that I'm
Oh
Mr.
yeah.
King of content, but like if I can, like I don't know, I think it would be fun to document like the trials and tribulations of the smog puzzle
Oh,
on that
such
car.
it's such an
Um,
man. Smog is like my least favorite thing.
you know what?
This
I
whole
think it's from working on these like car donation ship boxes that always like get donated because of smog issues.
thing.
I've grown to really like trying to figure out like, okay, it won't set this monitor. Why? Or okay, it failed because of NOx, or it failed because of CO, or it failed like, now it was a pain in the junk on the 924 turbo because that's like beyond next level, to the point where I had a Porsche specialty shop take $1,000 from me and just make it worse.
You got to smog that thing again too, right? Or are you just going to say fuck it?
I don't know.
That's
It's
the
on a
question, right?
P&O.
Like, what are you trying to do
I
with
think
that?
it will pass.
Are you
I think it
trying to
will
get,
pass.
if you're trying to get top dollar, you're probably going to be way more upside down trying to get top dollar for that car, or are you just trying to like fucking push it down the road?
Both. I don't need to get
A
top
blend.
dollar. I think if I fought tooth and nail, I can probably get 8-ish for it.
Okay.
But if I can get like 6, I think that's probably its actual value. If I
Yeah.
do the full song and dance and like fix the headlights and get it smogged, I can get more. But if I can, it'll present well. I can make it present well. Um, so we'll see. The truck, if I can be around 12-ish,
Mhm.
I would be happy. So yeah, between the two of them, if I can be
20K?
like maybe I
That'd be
probably
nice.
could. Um, so yeah, like we'll see. We'll see. Um, it's all so that's what I need. That's what I need to work on. And so that's that if I can get some of that done in this next week, and clean my garage up, so it's actually something I want to work in instead of just like tripping over rat corpses and it's like, yeah, I need to like
That
it's a
sounds like
thing.
that sounds like a really sweet band name, Tripping Over Rat Corpses.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the debut album for like I don't know, some weird like high
Yeah.
school like metal band.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
How about you, man? What are you twerking on?
that's aspirational. I actually did some work. I slapped a new
Oh,
water pump on the CT, which
pump it
recently hit
up.
180K.
I'm at
So
182 on mine, so let's
oh
go.
hell yeah, dude! These things are great for it. So I unfortunately got a huge stack of a ton of services done on this vehicle, which is
Yeah,
always cool. I couldn't find anything about a water pump, and I know that these things like they give up the ghost around like anywhere between 120 and 180 is pushing it.
yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not getting any issues. I'm not seeing anything like that, but I know it's a matter of time. And for those that don't know, the
Electric pump, right?
CT200H electric pump, but it has no temp gauge. You will not, sir, get a warning until this horrible coolant red light comes on and says hot or whatever the fuck it says. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
really? And I'm in the
just an
middle of like
illuminated.
yeah, I'm in the middle on a trip to Monterey or something. That's going to be great. So just it's not a bad job. It takes really a couple hours to do. It's super accessible. It's like 4 or 5 bolts, no belts involved. Electric water pump, like you said. Ace and unit will run you about $200. So I'm like, let's just do it because I put a lot of mileage on the car. I love the car. It's worth it. So slapped
Yeah,
a new water pump, and at the same time, I'm like, when I was going through that paperwork, I was like, remember I told you they did the head gasket before I purchased it? I
yep,
found the paperwork. They actually took it to a place that's like renowned for the CT200H and I think it's a third gen Prius that shares
yep.
everything with it. They only do head gaskets on those cars because it's a known issue. And they did the works. So new chain, EGR cooler,
Wow, they
EGR
did the
valve,
chain.
everything. All the EGR system replaced, cleaned out, and new plugs, all that stuff, which is great. That's why when I did the plugs, they looked almost brand new. They did the
Hmm.
plugs at the same time, but I did them anyway because they're cheap. Uh, all that was done, and I
What
have
was what was the cost on that?
you guess, what that service would cost.
I'm gonna guess that service was $6,200.
It was $1,850.
What?
This place only does this, and I looked them up, and they still charge around 2K for the whole head
What the
gasket,
hell?
everything service.
Head gasket with the EGR and a timing chain
And
set?
they have YouTube because I was like, "What the gasket masters? This sounds like a fly-by-night operation." They have multiple places in California. They do every car, but they service primarily these cars. They have how to do it videos online, like super
You know
detailed
what?
videos.
I think I've seen one of their videos because I remember like looking up about like head gasket stuff, and they're like, oh well, this is why it fails is the EGR plugs and dirt, and they run you through it all.
Yep.
Because when I bought mine, it was done at the dealership like 1,100 miles before, and they paid like $4,200 for just the head gasket
And
at
that's
the
what people
dealership.
said. Like they said, do not replace the engine. Like a lot of garages will, oh, get a used engine because the head
Hmm.
gasket it's prone to go. It's just going to go. The hybrid is what causes the real damage is that like when it starts and it gets that little bit of coolant on the cylinder, when an
Hmm.
electric or a hybrid car starts, it's way more pressure. and power than a regular starter motor, and that's what forces the damage on the piston. And eventually, you're going to kick like a connecting rod out the side of your block. It just happens with those engines all the time. It happens between 120 and like mine was really high when it was done. It was done around like one. I can't remember the exact mileage, but it was on the higher end, so that's good. But if you catch it, it's fine. They just do that, but they do the whole service there for that price, and I was like, that's
Damn.
epic. And they're like the specialists. So I'm like, that's super cool to find. But yeah, they didn't do the water pump. It probably wasn't showing any issues.
Same on mine. They didn't do the water pump when
Yeah.
they did it. Yeah.
So when you do your water pump, so there's a way to test it. There's the opening you can pull out. And it kind of, what happens is it gets like distorted and swells and you can't pull it all the way out. Mine was doing that. So I'm probably like a few thousand miles away from it totally failing. And it's a magnetic piece that goes in and out because it's electric.
Right.
And it just gets lodged in and it will eventually not open at all. And that's when you get,
Right.
your water pump issue, right? So,
Cool.
dude, for peace of mind, if you don't know when yours was done, and mine was the original ASIN, 100%, 180K or whatever it was when I swapped it out. So
that is the one bonus with timing belt cars, right? Is it's almost always service with the timing belt.
yeah.
And so you end up changing your water pump every 90,000 miles
Before they would
and
normally fail.
And so then they don't fail because
Mhm.
they get swapped out unless you cheap out. And then you never have a water pump failure, which is great. But yeah, on cars like this, timing chain, whatever, yeah, you're not swapping it out, and it's not a consumable until it is, right?
Yep.
And hopefully that consumption doesn't also consume up your motor. So,
do it,
yeah.
dude. Go buy an ASIN
Do
unit,
it.
slap it in there, because you'll
Yeah.
be good for the whatever more than.
I did look at them. I think on Rock they're like just under $200 before tax and shipping. So yeah, like 200 landed.
Easy job. But I did. So on my other one that I bought low mileage and took it all the way to like 145, mine did fail while driving, and it's really shitty because it's like no warning.
It's just like,
And then
whoop,
you're like,
boiling over.
yeah. And I looked, yeah, it's boiling, and you can't drive the car anymore, and there's nothing you can do. Zero
Yeah,
warning.
and-
You don't see the temp gauge getting warm. The dummy light comes on. It's like an oil pressure dummy light. You're fucking right there. You better shut the car off when you see an oil pressure dummy light come on. So
Yeah, which is not something you want to do on a car that's famously prone for head gasket failures. You don't want to boil it over. Yeah,
that's it. That's toast at that point. But yeah, dude. So yeah, do it, dude. Frank, put that in your stuff because you still drive yours. I'm assuming.
I do. Yeah, although I'm not like driving all over the place and like expensing, $1,000 a month in driving expenses at this point. But yeah, like
it's good peace of mind. I felt really good when I tested it. I was like, oh, dodged a big bullet. So
I do owe that car a little bit of attention because all I've done was I bought it and I've put 20,000 miles on it. And the only thing I've done is I got it detailed right when I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed out a bulb and wiper blades. That's it.
How Toyota-ish.
And it's been have I had it? I don't think I've had it quite a year. I think it'll be a year in like April.
Okay.
So yeah.
Throw a water pump in that bad boy, dude. And do the hybrid fan while we're doing that.
I do need to do that. Yeah.
You owe it to this. Do that water pump, dude. I'm glad I did it. I'm super glad.
There you go. He's pumped. Speaking of pumped, no, we're not selling various Swedish products here through the pod. Although if you do
it's not my bag, baby.
Exactly. If you do make various genital pumps, like can you use them for more than just penises? Like is there
what other genitals are there?
Like
I know of one other set.
You've been with a woman, yes?
They don't have a penis?
Well, I mean, if you pump anything hard enough, like, I don't know. I'm getting at. What I'm saying is people do weird things, and we're willing to accept their sponsorship for their weird Swedish-based pump devices.
Oh, that'd be great.
Water or otherwise. So if ASIN or whoever makes penis pumps wants to sponsor the pod, I'm all for it. And on that bombshell, thanks for listening, friends. We do genuinely appreciate it. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more time on my hands and we can develop this podcast a little bit more. I don't have a dope podcasting studio space like Chadwick is working on over there, but one day we will get our act together, and then hell will actually freeze over, and we will nuke Greenland. All of these are possible. So If you want to check out the abandoned Instagram or send us messages through it, anyways, please do so. That's at APA Podcast on the Scramgram. I'm Frank. And really, my only source of income now is through my photography business. And so, if you want to follow my photography nonsense, that's at the Photographer's Garage. Chadwick, where can people pay attention to whatever you're up to?
Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit going on around these parts. But no, you should definitely follow Frank. You also tune into mine for no content. I need to get on that, man. Auto Obsessive Garage on YouTube, mostly for your rescues, restorations, and reviews. Mostly weird shit. But yeah, check it out there. Instagram, meh. Also follow APA Podcast, another pointless automotive podcast on YouTube, where we put an episode up
That's
every
right.
week.
Hi.
Sometimes later than other. Yeah, if you're watching, congrats.
Ooh,
You
exactly.
select few.
I'll put a shirt on later.
Hey now you can go back and watch it.
Mhm.
But thanks guys again for tuning in. We appreciate it. We love you. Take care, and we'll
Ta
catch you.
ta.
Peace.